Good day, Professor Kate Capulong. Today, we will going to present the discussion of change management case study.
Change management. In this ever-changing world where the only constant is change and everything is just temporary, you should think and create corporate strategies, new techniques and approach that you need to have just to deal with the changes in the environment and to keep pace in a constantly evolving business world. Organizations often need to implement enterprise-wide changes affecting their processes, products, and their employees. And considering the fact that the change is the life of the business world today. To manage change, organizations need a plan for implementing changes and solidifying those changes as the new norm. Change management plan will help you to ease to any organizational transitions that your organization need to have. This will serve as a guide how they will going to be prepared, equipped, and will support individuals in order to successfully adopt to the changes to achieve organizational success and outcomes. Helping the employee through their individual change journey enables the organization to improve their performance and develop their competencies that will actually lead them to success. Furthermore, it is important to always provide a room for improvement like seminars, training, mentoring, coaching, and anything that will help your company to grow and adopt the changes in the environment. This change will really help your business to become flexible so that it is easy for them to have smooth transitions. As a result, your business will always on the beat, and if you guys are always doing changes and improvements to your business, no doubt that your business will never fail, and this will be your competitive advantage to others.
Today's business environment is driving change at an unprecedented level. The pace of technology change in particular is accelerating, requiring businesses to oversee transition to new processes and procedures on a regular basis. When these changes require adjustments at the structural as opposed to project level, businesses are required to implement organizational change. Organizational change management is necessary for companies to succeed and grow. Change management drives the successful adoption and usage of change within the business. It allows employees to understand and commit to the shift and work effectively during it. While change at the project level is important, it ultimately does not tend to extend beyond the boundaries of the project itself. That is to say, project level change can be somewhat isolated or specific in impact. Change at the organizational level, however, affects all employees in a particular company, including the individuals and teams working on various projects. One might say that organizational change encompasses project-level change. For this reason, organizational change tends to be felt at a deeper level and for a longer period of time. It is therefore important for companies to manage any organizational change as effectively as possible. Managing a successful organizational change can increase morale among workers and drive positive team building and job enrichment. These factors can directly and possibly affect productivity and quality of work while shortening production cycles and reducing costs. Effective organizational change management allow company to maintain a constant state of evolution and facilitate period of general business change, allowing workers to remain motivated and productive during the introduction of new technologies or procedures.
The following are change forces: change in new government policies and legislation, change and development in new materials, social and culture value change, change in national and global economic conditions and trade policies and regulations, technology development, change in customer taste and requirements, development, and innovation in manufacturing processes, new products and service design innovation, new ideas about the products that help to deliver customer value and satisfaction, office and factory replication closer to customer, suppliers, and the market. Nature of workforce, technology, economic shocks, completion, social trends, and world politics.
One of the change management approaches mentioned in one of the cases was the Lewis three-step change model. And according to it, there are three important steps that a company must follow for a successful change in the management. And these are, first, unfreezing the status quo and changing to overcome the pressure of both individual resistance and group conformity, followed by movement, where the management will identify what is their desired end state of the company after applying Lewis change model and adopting to a new change process that aims to transform the organization from its status quo to the desired end state of the company. And the last part of this model of change is refreezing the result from the movement or the new change to make it permanent, stabilizing a change intervention by balancing both driving and restraining forces. This image flashing on your screen is the clear visualization of how Lewis change model works. As you can see, the line in the unfreezing phase represents the current status quo of the management. This is where the diagnosis of problems of the company and planning takes place, but it elevated upon reaching the movement phase where actions were taken place and change interventions were applied in the organization. Elevation symbolizes improvements from the current state of the company. Then the next and last stage is the refreezing, which is represented by a straight line higher than the line representing the unfreezing phase.
Copper's 8-step model of change. First, creating an urgency, identifying and highlighting the potential threats and the repercussions which might crop in the future, examining the opportunities which can be tapped through effective intervention. Second, forming powerful guiding coalitions, identifying the effective change leaders in your organization and also the key stakeholders, requesting their involvement and commitment towards the entire process. Form a powerful change coalition who would be working as a team. Third, developing a vision and strategy, determining the core values, defining the ultimate vision and strategies for realizing change in an organization. Ensure that the change leaders can describe the vision effectively and in a manner that people can easily understand and follow. Fourth, communicating the vision. Communicate the change in the vision very often, powerfully, and convincingly. Connect the vision with all the crucial aspects like performance, reviews, and training. Handle the concerns and issues of people honestly and with involvement. Fifth, removing obstacles. Ensure that the organizational processes and structure are in place and aligned with the overall organizational vision. Continuously check for barriers or people who are resisting change. Implement proactive actions to remove the obstacles involved in process of change. Creating short-term wins. By creating short-term wins early in the change process, you can give a feel of victory the early stages of the change. Create many short-term targets instead of one long-term goal, which are achievable and less expensive and have lesser possibilities of failure. Reward the contributions of the people who are involved in meeting the targets. 7. Consolidating gains. Achieve continuous improvement by analyzing the success stories individually and improving from those individual experiences. 8. Anchoring change in corporate culture. Discuss the successful stories related to change initiatives on every given opportunity. Ensure that the change becomes an integral part in your organization culture and is visible in every organizational aspect.
Action research. Action research is also a change management approach in which systematically data collected and then change is taken according to that data education. Action research, also known as participatory research, is learning by doing in the sense that a group of workers identify a problem, develop a resolution, implement the solution, and then analyze the final results. The action research. The action research process consists of 5 steps in the cycle. Diagnosing, action planning, taking action, evaluating, and specifying learning. The process is known for on-the-job research and not the scientific method type study created in a lab. The process. First step is in the action research process is regarding the diagnosing of the organizational issue. In this step, the actual problem is identified to promote the start of the action research. The Bittner team has already diagnosed that there is a motivation issue with the employees. Action planning is the second step that constitutes alternative paths of action. The Bittner team has spent many weeks trying to create the list of different ways they could improve employee outlook. After many employee interviews, they have found that a shorter or more flexible work week is wanted by the workers. The third step is taking action, where a specific alternative is selected to solve the issue. GM has read the studies with other technology companies that have had success with employee motivation and productivity through adopting a shorter work week. He believes this is worth a try. Evaluating is the next step, where the action results are studied to see the overall impact. The GM team held a company-wide presentation to explain when and how the new work week would be implemented. Starting in 1 month, all employees would need to be work at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The employees would have a 4-day weekend. The employees were excited to try this plan, and so was the GM. So the last step in the action research process is specifying learning, where learning and results can be used to help future issues within the organization. After a 3-month trial period of the new shorter work week, the company deemed the plan a success. Employees were active in formulating any changes, such as working remotely if needed on one other day. And productivity and motivation were at all-time high. GM himself felt relaxed and had a new sense of excitement for his new work. So, same as the Angel's Burger, it can be applied to our chosen company, which is the Angel's Burger. Angel's Burger's problems and issues are in need to be taken into changes. With the help of this kind of research, we can easily identify the problem from the employees, develop a resolution, implement the solution, and then analyze the final results. In this way, we can be more systematic in coping up with problems, and it will be a great part of the change that the company is going to do. Organizational development. Organizational development, or OD, is the study and implementation of practices, systems, and techniques that affects organizational change. The goal of which is to modify an organization's performance and or culture. The organization changes are typically initiated by the group's stakeholders. OD emerged from human relations studies in 1930s, during which psychologists realized that organizational structures and processes influence worker behavior and motivation. More recently, work on OD has expanded onto focus on aligning organizations with their rapidly changing and complex environments through organizational learning, knowledge management, and transformation of organizational norms and values. Organizational development plays an important role in the change management. No change be best implemented without organizational development. It can be defined as a collection of planned change interventions built on humanistic democratic values that seek to improve the organizational effectiveness and employees' work performance and well-being. The learners that can be applied to the Angels Burger company is that no matter what changes is about to be implemented, always consider the good side that both company and employees are going to have, seeking to have the organization and seeking to have an overall improvement inside the organization and continuous growth for each and everyone.
The case study of General Motor Company.
The General Motor Company. General Motor was founded by William C. Durant on September 16, 1908. That time, the company was a stall car maker dealer in the region. First, it was a holding gear company till 1920. It was becoming the world's largest motor manufacturing company, and the company got tremendous success in time of Alfred Salon due to his leadership, and the company was producing new style and design of car every year, and he have given such concept to the company. General Motors engaged in designing, manufacturing, and selling of cars, trucks, and automobile parts. It has also provide automotive financing services through General Motors Financial Company and Corporation. General Motors Company, formerly General Motors Corporation, is an American corporation that was world's largest motor vehicle manufacturer for much 20th and 21st centuries. It operates manufacturing and assembly plants and distribution centers throughout the United States.
General Motors, or GM, was established in 1908, and just like any other successful businesses, they had their peak of success for some time, but there will be also downfalls. Everything was good and they were number one car company in North America until challenges hit them. Both internal and external factors caused them a lot, to the point that they declared bankruptcy in 2009. And these are the problems internally and externally faced by General Motors. The external problems faced by General Motors are as follows. The rise of Japan-based company Toyota, which became their biggest competitor that time, and some China-based companies affected the total profitability of General Motors. The second huge external problem of General Motors was the financial crisis, which with great extent collapsed the cash flow of the company. Talking about the internal problems that caused General Motors to undergo change are as follows. The high wage cost of General Motors to employees, as they were paying $74 per hour as compared to their number one competitor, which Toyota, who's paying their employees for $44 only per hour, All of this because they have an agreement with the trade union. Second was the General Motors was compelled to run their plant with a minimum of 80% capacity whether they need it or not, which plays important role in the bankruptcy of General Motors.
In external forces, the General Motor, which was greatly affected by the Japan-based company Toyota, was the emerging competitors in that time. The North America is still the biggest marketplace for General Motor, where the company sold out in recent year around about 2.9 million. The nearest competitor is Toyota and China-based companies. These competitors with a great extent disturb the total profitability of the General Motor, and the second external forces which the company faced a huge problem was financial crisis, which with great extent collapsed the cash flows of the company. Internal forces. Another force for change to General Motor was the high wages cost to employees, as the company was paying $74 per hour as compared to Toyota $44 per hour. Because of General Motor was on agreement with trade union, the General Motor was compelled to run the plant with minimum 80% capacity whether it was needed or not. These things play an important role in bankruptcy of the company.
Change management at General Motor. General Motor established in 1908. That time the company was the sole car maker in the region. First, it was a holding Buick company. It was a holding Buick company till 1920. It was becoming the world's largest motor manufacturing company. The company got a tremendous success in time with Alfred Salon. Due to his leadership, the company was producing new style and design car every year, and he had given such concept to the company. The other brand of the company is Chevrolet, Tedtec, Buick, and Cadillac. These were the different brands of cars which were using by company that time. And this way there were no other competitors to compete in the company. Different cars. But with the merging of the Japan's automakers, the company felt threatened, especially the emerging of Toyota Japan, who with great extent disturbed the profitability of the GM or the General Motors, especially in the North American market. In 2001, the sale graph of the GM was in decline trend. Because the Toyota had captured the market in this way, General Motor received loan from American government and Canadian government to support the company in that crisis period. During 2009, the company had faced a bankruptcy and had closed several brands and sold out to China-based company. Now, the company again got his position in market by restructuring and making change in the company. Now, the company is again operating business in the core brands in America such as Chevrolet, GMC, Buick, and Cadillac.
In any organization, there is one thing that is guaranteed. There will be a change. The market changes. Your customer change. The competition changes. Everything around your company change, and you need to adapt quickly. All the companies needs to adapt to the environment with no exception, whether it's by changing the offers, the processes, the strategy, or the products. Change is a vital part of any organization. If an organization wants to stay current, relevant, then change is inevitable. It is crucial for an organization to be able to adapt and grow. Unfortunately, most of organizations don't know how to prepare their employees for change or how to handle change management initiatives. That's the reason why General Motors Company faces a variety of problems. like the problems in cultural change and cost cutting. First, let's talk about their problems in cultural change. The cultural plan of General Motors was based on top-down approach, which totally ignored the involvement of the employees as compared to the other companies, which is very disturbing because the engagement of all employees in any changes is very important. Why? Because the more your staff understand and accept the need of business change, the more possibly they will respond to the change process. Your staff may invest themselves and their role in your business, be aware that their job may contribute significantly to their financial security, identity, sense of purpose, self-confidence, and professional development. Cultural changes that affect the rules may have big professional and personal impact. Your staff may have to work through a sense of loss. Fostering their understanding and involvement will help them work positively and purposely on change tasks. Once you recognize negative or toxic culture trend, it is time to make a change. Does not mean that some group decides what the new culture should be and then simply dictates a list of values to the company. With this approach, little to nothing change. Instead, it's important to identify and address the underlying issue so you can correct your course. These four steps are a good place to start to set your organization back on the right track. First, foster an environment of accountability from manager down to individual employees. Second, discuss with them what matters most to them. Third, institute better practices based on feedback. And fourth, continue to assess your culture. Culture change is not an easy thing to do. It requires more than a vision statement. You need to specific sponsorship, readiness, communication, and enforcement strategy that fundamentally change the way your organization does work each and every day. Let's proceed to the problem with cost cutting, as the cost cutting has an important place in the change management, but in General Motors it is a problem from them because of the agreement of trade union, as the company was in agreement with not lowering the pay of the employees and maintain the capacity level. But before that, let's define first what is cost cutting. Cost cutting refers to the measure implemented by a company to reduce its expenses and improve profitability. Cost cutting measures are typically implemented during times of financial distress for a company or during economic downturns. They can also be enacted if a company or management expect probability issue in the future, where cost cutting can then become part of the business strategy. For General Motors Company, it's important to communicate everything with employees. What's happening, what are the plans to resolve the matter, how long it will take, and what they can expect. In other words, employee will respond better to bad news when they're given as much information as possible as to why the cuts are taking place. By involving employees correctly in the cost cutting, employers can gain workers by end and reduce or even eliminate backlash to such a decision. And perhaps more importantly, managers may gain valuable cost-saving tips they might never have developed on their own. Some costs are necessary, so it's important to classify costs into good costs, bad costs, and best costs. Once a company is able to allocate its costs into one of the above classification, it will make it easier to focus on cutting bad costs and maximizing on best costs. It's also important to note that the cost cutting doesn't necessarily mean to completely cutting a cost. It can be also referred to optimization and efficiency. Optimizing productivity actually reduces costs, so it's important to measure productivity. When change management is handled poorly, it leads to decreased employee morale and a mistrust of leaderships. So how can you avoid problems and ensure your change management process goes smoothly? Follow these basic guidelines for the most critical steps to change management. The first step is prepare for change. Identify the change that will happen and understand the impact it will have on the employees. It is critical to have top-level management supporting the initiative. It helps to communicate the new reality to the employees, so they will be ready and understand how things will be different when the change has been implemented. People will generally get on board with the what when they understand the why. Second, manage the change. It is important to communicate early and often. Understand how the change will affect the employees and involve them in the change management process for buy-in and engagement. They will become your supporters and advocate for the change. Listen to those who are resistant to be changed. Don't be bargain or try to convince them, but listen and ask questions to understand their perspective. If they have this opinion, then others will too. This gives you an opportunity to identify any barriers to the success of the change, which will increase the odds of making the change work. And lastly, reinforce change. Use positive reinforcements to reward desired behavior and results. Establish metrics and reward teams who meet the goals. Don't forget to get feedback from surveys or meetings. Once issues are identified, address and fix the problems, be patient and employees are navigating the learning curve and address those resistance to change. Managing an organization through change can be challenging, but following these steps and tips, and especially having strong leadership, it will make this process easier.
For the recommendation, we have seen that how the GM has made changes in the company for smooth running. The company increased sales volume and maintained market shares around the world, but the changes brought by General Motors were insufficient. The company required more attention in the adoption of several other changes in order to cope with the situation and maintain the business position and compete in the international market. The following are the some suggested recommendations for the General Motor that it can be pursued. GM might be reached the turnaround goals and can increase in sale and market shares. First one is the production of the right and fuel-efficient automobiles or poor product lineup. As was the case with the GM product or car brand, which was criticized for not being fuel efficient, the company had a high sales volume in 1990 when oil was cheap. But when the price rose in the international market, the business brand lost its image in the general market. The firm must produce fuel-efficient autos as well as battery-powered and hybrid vehicles. As a result, corporate sales will continue to rise as well consumer loyalty, market share. Last one is public perception improving. General Motors needs to improve the quality of its product and customer service. Because public perception is so crucial, if a corporation improves its public impression, the public will be more likely to feel that their money is not being wasted and they will appear more trustworthy in the eyes of the public.
The case study of Tedtec Company Limited.
Tedtec Company Limited is among the most respected of India's private sector companies that deals with technology, construction, engineering, and manufacturing. The company has been in existence for about 7 decades with a strong international presence, including offices in China as well as both neighbors. Some of the achievements that the company has made including the record for having made the largest coal gasifier in India that it exports to China. It is the largest FCC regenerator for a refinery, which is the longest coal conveyor in the world, besides being Asia's highest viaduct and the world's largest CO reactor for a petrochemical complex in the Gulf. The company also took part in the construction of India's first nuclear-powered submarine. It has won a number of local and international awards and recognitions. The company is also one of the most profitable construction companies in the region, with thousands of employees being employed directly or indirectly by the company. A policy of giving back to the society has ensured that the company establishes good relations with workers and the communities, in which it is involved with only issue of pollution being the major challenge.
problems encountered by Tedtec Company Limited. At one point in its history, the corporation had encountered flaws in its existing appraisal method. This difficulty requires a skilled system adjustment. The corporation enlisted the support of several specialists in the industry, inviting famous lecturers to conduct a research and assessment of the company's appraisal procedure. Professors Walter J. and Engineer Schwartz Raymond were consulted during the company's appraisal procedure. They began their investigation into the company's appraisal procedure by interviewing department heads and their staff. They employed diagnose or action research to conduct the interview, with the results being documented and examined against a backdrop of other data they have obtained elsewhere as well as previous case studies. A lot of feedbacks were collected by the company's diagnostic methods. According to the data provided by the subordinates in various departments, there was a communication breakdown in the administrative structure, with junior employees not receiving information or comments on their performance in the organization. Despite their declared wish for input, which they did not receive, this case occurred. Another interpretation of the feedback data was that the managers were reasonable for a high number of employees, making it difficult to evaluate their subordinates. However, one flaw was that the assessment form utilized was overlong, resulting in a reduction in the number of employees that participated owing to time constraints. The two professors provided the feedback results to the company's top management for review and development of suggestions and recommendations on possible solutions to the problem. According to Cummings and Worley, an appraisal system is important in any organization, as it helps the company's employees to understand their strengths and weaknesses and the progress they are making in the job performance. Tedtec Company Limited used SWOT analysis to attain its goals and plan for strategic accomplishments. This type of analysis examines the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that an organization establishes in the course of operations and development, as addressed in the essay and in the literature plan strategy of the organization. Threats are external to an organization and beyond its control. According to Cummings and Worley, with the finest example being the country's economic performance, technological levels at the same time, social changes, and environmental conditions. Strengths and weaknesses, on the other hand, are internal to a company and serve to resist external threats. Tedtec Company Limited has invested in the manufacturing and construction industries as a potential over the years. It boasts of having established a reputable brand in India. The business has been in operation since 1938 when it began as a maker of everyday equipment. As a result, it has a well-established corporate culture and a long-standing management policies. The corporation has also made significant technological investments focusing on the cutting-edge technology accessible. This opportunity has given her an advantage over her opponents. The organization's corporate culture has been defined as goal-oriented, with employees overwhelmingly indicating career satisfaction while working for the corporation. The company has invested in a number of international brands, mostly in the region, in order to maintain industry relevance and competitiveness. The organization is now able to create a variety of products in addition to providing a variety of services in the region, thanks to its diversification of operations. The solution that has been formed in the production technique in the process of verification following the ambitious investment in the environmental conservation and social responsibility is a serious vulnerability that the organization has established in its operations. The corporation also confronts a threat in its operation in the form of financial crisis, which, as the previous one revealed, has the potential to halt operations. The threat is mitigated, however, by prudent financial investment in other markets as well as stringent financial auditing and dispatching.
Now let us proceed to the interventions prepared for Tedtec company. The specific interventions that were necessary included were diversification of products and expansion into other markets to counter the decline in demand in the home country, in a bid to create new opportunities to secure industrial relevance. To guarantee exceptional customer service, organizations need to have an effective indicator in place. That's according to Cummings and Worley in 2005. For Tedtec Company Limited, customer loyalty rating is the key indicator. The organization has commissioned a number of surveys to find a satisfaction of its client on its product and services. According to Cummings and Worley, this strategy is an effective way of doing it. The results have been then used to gauge performance and/or information decision making. The expected benefits include improved service provision and customer satisfaction, as well as profitability. The company also utilizes feedback from clients, especially complaints that are provided as feedback to change its operations. Since Tedtec Company Limited carries out many civil projects that are funded by the Indian government and other governments, the quality of work is also evaluated by government constructors as well as other state agencies concerned with quality control, according to Cummings and Worley in 2005. This ensures a subjective review of products and services provided, thus ensuring that there is quality in the future projects. The strategy has enabled the company to win a number of tenders based on previous projects that were evaluated as being professionally carried out.
For the recommendation, one of the recommendations is that the corporation split or bifurcate its personnel department to guarantee that fewer employees are under the control of managers in different areas. It is stated that the lower the number of subordinates that each manager is in charge of, the better employees' output. The corporation should also consider boosting the number of administrative workers, notably those in the human resource department, in an attempt to strengthen the relationship between the administration and subordinates. Another suggestion is that the company's human resource and marketing departments be closely monitored in order to improve client loyalty.
Now let's proceed to our individual learning.
The organizational development interventions that I can apply to our company in the Philippines setting are annual employee training to make sure that the skills of our workers are improved and updated yearly to make them more competitive and efficient in their job. Considering that the number of competitors in the market of Angel's Burger is growing since a lot of people nowadays are opening their own business with unique products to offer to gain customer satisfaction and loyalty. Second is total quality management. Since Angel's Burger is a food business, it is a good move to use an intervention that will enhance the quality and taste of the products they offer, considering that Filipinos are really fond of eating affordable yet delicious and satisfying meals. TQM is also a good intervention to use during this pandemic since Angel's Burger is a food industry They have to be very cautious to avoid food contamination that, if not prevented, may cause illness to customers. Applying strategic change interventions such as continuous change intervention is also a good step in the Philippine setting, since this intervention aims to learn from the mistakes and failures rather than seeing it as a dead end for the business. In the Philippines, a starting business will face a lot of problems and challenges, and one of it is having a lot of competitors. One wrong decision can affect the current and future state of a business. Therefore, you have to be very careful with decision making for your business, and if it fails or part of it did not work, you should learn from it and use it to create a better plan for the business. My personal learning from the 2 case studies, which were about change management, is that it is never easy to apply change in a company. There will be a lot of factors that the organization has to consider, since we are talking about the future of a company and thousands of money will be spent for this change management plan. Planning is everything. Therefore, it has to be specific, detailed, organized, and most especially, it should come with a very clear goal, and the organization must be ready to handle the possible resistance from the part of the workers if they don't agree with the change being implemented. As a prospective organizational development practitioner, I also understand the importance of studying well and being familiar first with what has to be changed in the company and the company profile itself, if thus it really requires an organizational change or only in some part of the company. Because being able to conclude a proper diagnosis of the problems of an organization will be the key for me as an organizational development practitioner to come up with a very good change management plan which will aid the problems that they are facing in the present time and improve their current situation to ensure a good future for the company. Also, I learned the importance of establishing good communication between the management and the employees, since both these organization members' participation is vital to achieve a successful outcome from the change management plan. And I believe that a good plan is useless if there is no good communication between the people involved in it. There will be nothing but failure.
One of the things that I've learned is that good change management processes start with a realistic analysis of your business systems, processes, structures, strategy, and leadership approaches to determine the actual need for change, determining why, what, and how you need to change, and involving your people in each step will help you to manage a smooth change process, strengthen your business, and retain your key staff business skills and knowledge.
My learnings about the 2 cases is, in this world, where the change is the only constant, we should always be prepared and ready to conquer all the challenges, problems, and anything that may arise as you go along in your journey by adopting these changes and turn it as a bigger chance and opportunity to your organization to grow, expand, and enhance not only the reputation of the company, but also the manpower inside and outside your organization to boost their morale. As an organizational development practitioner, I should never be contented on what our company have today, since everything today is just temporary. If today the product that we offer is good with our customer, maybe sooner or later, this will not meet the taste or lives of our customer, because you should also consider that the taste and choice of the customer are changing. So it is important to have a change management plan in your organization. Just like for Angel's Burger, considering the fact that the customer wants a new and unique and they really want more and improved products that will satisfy their cravings in very affordable price. So they have a research and development intervention because we all know that everything on this world is just temporary. Maybe sooner or later the product and services that we offered is no longer meet the customer wants. So it is important to have a research and development plan in every company to deal with the changes in the environment, to solve the problems that may arise, and the most important is to meet the customer satisfaction. So this intervention, the employee and specialist will have a continuous research and have an experimentation about different combinations of ingredients and make a unique products that have a potential in the market to succeed. And you actually know that this product will love and catch the attention of many Filipinos while making sure that it is fit on their budget because it is cheap. But this will meet the expectation just like for the General Motors company.
And organizational development interventions I applied to Angel's Burger in Philippines setting. Because we are in the current day and many rivals have emerged in the market, I have chosen the organizational development interventions listed below for Angel's Burger to be patronized in the market despite the fact that there are many competitors with stronger branding. The first one is group interventions. These interventions are directed toward the group's content, structure, or process. The group is concentrating on the content. The structure determines how a group will respond to the material. The process is the method through which the group accomplishes its primary goal. A contact center, for example, concentrates on receiving consumer complaints. The contact center is organized in a hierarchical framework with an owner at the top. The contact center procedure is to register any complaints as soon as possible. Only a certain percentage of complaints are escalated to management, depending on how serious and complex they are. The second one is organizational confrontation meeting. A confrontation meeting is intended to identify issues, set improvement goals, and establish priorities. It's a place to start when trying to solve difficulties at Angel's Burger. The third one is total quality management. Continuous process improvement is another name for total quality management. It arose from a focus on quality control in Angel's Burger. It considers customer pleasure to be crucial to an organization's long-term success. To do this, a great emphasis is placed on the full employee participation in the ongoing development of goods, processes, and workplace. The fourth one is developing talent. This includes talent management practices like coaching and mentoring, career planning, development intervention management, and leadership development. The fifth and last one is transformational change. This is a procedure that entails altering the organization's fundamental characteristics, such as its structure and operations. For example, changing the physical store's design to be more appealing to consumers' eyes, changing their packaging to a more current design, and offering a wider range of food of high quality to attract consumers' attention and loyalty. What is my personal learning as a prospective audit practitioner? I learned as a prospective audit practitioner from reading the Tedtec Company Limited and General Motors case study that I should be linked to goals that ensure consistency with the company's mission and vision, as well as focus on growth and development. I learned that my communication should be effective at all levels because being able to communicate the principles and skills is the way to achieve organizational goals. Communication is critical and should be consistent, clear, and targeted to different positions and departments so that everyone understands where they fit and how they can help. I've also learned that taking a long-term perspective is critical since focusing solely on short-term objectives denies firms the opportunity to grow over time. Meeting short-term objectives is one stage in the process, but having a broader view will provide a more comprehensive picture and lead to more long-term process.
Personal learning as a prospective organizational development practitioner. To achieve the desired change in one company, it has to go a lot of process in order to formulate the best intervention needed for a company to reach the success it aspires. And as a prospective organizational development practitioner, it is in my hands on what change does a company will need and undergo. Diagnosing the major and minor problems that one's company is facing. This is a crucial step since it is extracting the root cause of the problem. Apparently, in diagnosing stage, it starts from internal before going to external factors affecting how the business runs on a day-to-day basis. The business should use SWOT analysis in order to figure out both internal and external business strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. In every change, there is always a resistance that may arise, considering the fact that the company has these set values and procedures that will need a change for future purposes. In Tedtec Company Limited, it has been operating in the long run, but despite on that place, it still need to undergo organizational change due to change in market and economic status. The problem that it has been facing is the appraisal system for which the employee do not have the access throughout the entire process because of some limitations it has. The system that the company is using is quite lengthy. This can be considered as one of the major problems since the company will not operate in the best it can be if the employee cannot give the best of their capabilities. Good appraisal system is important in order to monitor the progress of each employee and as well to assess the strengths and weaknesses they possess. The intervention suggested does not only focus on the internal aspect but as well into the customer perspective, by which this organizational change aims is for the company to have its sustainability and gain profits from change. This will only be possible if they will alter in the way of reaching customer demands and concerns.
Angel's Burger has been in the industry in the long run, and throughout the years, it gained a lot of problems that made the company profit to decrease. Its issues are attitude of employee towards customer, marketing strategy, employee dissatisfaction, burger inconsistency, and cleanliness of store and its appearance. The possible intervention that Angel's Burger may take: behavioral change, total quality management, updating marketing strategy, and culture change, for which will target the employee's attitude. The employee will be trained on how to control emotions and assess stress that it can be a source of mood change. Total quality management. In this intervention, the employee will be trained on the proper way of preparing the product, starting from the cooking time, measurements, as well as the presentation of product. Customer wants to experience the best food through consistency. That's why total quality management training is important. Updating the marketing strategy. Through this intervention, the Angel's Burger can keep up to the market since there's a lot of strategies that they can apply in order to revamp their sales. This can include structural change in the physical store and going on online platform, etc. Cultural change. This can be considered as a challenging intervention that it aims to cultivate such values in the employees which have a possibility on resisting to learn because it may be far on what they had learned before. In this intervention, the employee will learn the values that Angel's Burger has. These following interventions are applicable in the Philippine settings, considering that Filipinos are sensitive and cautious on what way they are treated once they purchase or experience such service or goods. The Filipinos are easily get attracted on things that is new and on trend, thus updating marketing strategy is important.
Overall, change management brought me a lot of lessons, and here is the following. Constant continuous improvement should be begin at the start. Adopting an attitude of continuous improvement is a necessity. Day one of the new process is an opportunity to look for improvement. Resist the urge to want to relax or rest right after the implementation. Immediately begin looking for ways to develop and mature the process. Another one is invest time and resource in proper training. Do not expect people to begin a new process or use a new tool without proper training. Proper training means investing in all the resources needed to give adequate access, tools, and time to learning new things. Development and design take a lot of time. Do not underestimate the time needed in this stage and borrow from training time to hit your goal play target. Complete training is an investment that will pay for itself many times over with a prepared and ready staff. Transparency is critical. Being open and freely sharing the purpose, plan, and process is absolutely necessary. And most importantly, accept that change is hard. Introducing a new process is change, and change is hard. It's important to recognize going into any big adoption that it will be hard work and will require heavy lifting.
My individual insights in this is it takes a lot of guts and risk to take when it comes to changes, especially when it comes to organizational development. For you and the whole organization needs to be able to cope up with the change in the environment, change in comfort zones, change in everything that it takes to have a betterness of all. Maybe it takes a lot of money to be spent, but that's when the phrase is going in. The phrase is, a business is a gamble. Well, it makes sense. Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. You don't lose, you just learn.